Alright, so in this video we're checking out the Moto RAZR 2025, and for those of you that are in the market for a flip phone, you know, this sort of compact size, and it's foldable, this is the one I think that is worth getting out of all the ones that are out there in the market right now, including the ones from Samsung, the Z Flip series. There's a few reasons for that. We'll get into that in this video. I think this is a niche product. Not really for everyone, mainly because of the durability issues, which I think some are addressed in this new model, maybe not necessarily for everybody. But I think for most people, like the standard slab style phones that everyone has, is going to be more ideal for people that maybe drop the phone more often. If you're a little more careful with your phone and you're looking for a foldable in this compact size, I think this is definitely one to consider. Now, the 2025 is not a lot different from the 2024 that came out last year. This is the entry-level version of the RAZR. There's the RAZR Plus and the RAZR Ultra now for 2025. The RAZR Ultra is new for 2025, and that is the flagship model with all the high-end specs, with the Snapdragon 8 Elite processor in there, but it's very expensive. It's $1,300 for the retail price. This one's coming in at, I believe, $699 retail, so much more affordable. There's also a lot of carrier deals for the entry-level model, like there were for the 2024. So, and in fact, the 2024 model is still available, widely available on a lot of the carriers, prepaid phones like Straight Talk, etc. You can also pick it up at Walmart. I'll tell you about where I picked this one up a little bit later in the video. The particular sale that I picked this up on is actually no longer expired. So if there's carrier deals or any sort of deals on this particular model, and you're interested in what they are at the time that you're watching this video, which might be sometime in the future, let me know down in the comments and I'll try and help you out. So just real quick rundown on the specs here. So the it's a 3.6-inch external display, and this is one of the main I think advantages of the RAZR series over the Z Flip series from Samsung, is that you can actually run full apps on this external display. Unlike on the Samsung, you can kind of run some apps on the external display, but you have to kind of jump through a lot of hoops, and a lot of the apps just don't work at all. This is a big selling point, because you can basically use the phone to check your messages, even surf the web, read ebooks, all that, without even opening up the phone. You can just leave it closed, which is, I think, a really pretty big selling point for me. And the internal display, which is foldable, it's a POLED. It is 6.9 inches, 3000 nits of brightness, and so it's a very nice OLED display. The displays on the internal and external are pretty much the same as the ones on the 2024 model. So if you have the 2024 model already, I would say probably not really worth upgrading to the 2025, unless you want the new colors, of course. The 2025 comes with these Pantone series colors, like there's this blue and then there's a green. And also the texture is different. So the 2024 models come with like a fake leather material. It's kind of sticky and collects a lot of dust. This one does also collect some dust, but it's a sort of hard plastic textured material, and I think it looks really nice, in my opinion. Even though this is the entry level model, this whole thing looks really premium, and the build quality is excellent. You got the sides here are the metal aluminum. In the matching color here, this is called Gibraltar blue, and so even though this is the entry-level model, it actually has a premium feel. In terms of the build quality, it feels really nice. I'm sure the Ultra and the Plus also have a similar build quality. In fact, I think the hinge now in the 2025 model is a little bit smaller and stronger compared to the hinge you get from a couple of years ago from the 2023. So if you have a 2023 RAZR, this is definitely one considering upgrading because the hinge is smaller and it is also stronger on the 2025 models. Additionally, the redesign of the hinge in the 2025 model does lead to a less noticeable crease, as you can see here. So it can still see it. If you shine the light on it correctly at the right angle, you will see that crease. You can still see it here, and you can, of course, still feel it. But based on my experience with the Z Flip 4 from, I think I reviewed that last year, that was a much more noticeable crease and more visible. And of course, the Samsungs and the 5 series and 6 series have improved that as well, but this one here is about as good as I've ever seen it on a flip phone. So kudos to Motorola for making a very nice hinge design that minimizes that crease. So of course, this being the entry-level model, it does come with a MediaTek Dimensity 7400X CPU in here. And for those of you that are looking for performance, like if you're a hardcore gamer, obviously you want to look at the higher end models like the Plus or the Ultra. Those come with Snapdragon processors, and in terms of raw numbers, in terms of the benchmarks, those will do definitely better. However, I do want to note that even though this one has a slower processor in terms of the benchmarks, because it's so thin, it's like about 7 millimeters thin, as you can see here, the thermals on these flip phones aren't that great. So even if you have the Plus or the Ultra with the Snapdragon processors, they may have better raw performance initially, like before it starts heating up, but then you get thermal throttling. You get thermal throttling on all of them, and even this one as well. But what's interesting is, based on some of the benchmarks I saw out there, the thermal throttling on all three of them brings the performance down to where they're almost at par. So while the initial performance when it's cool is higher on the Snapdragon versions, once you get the thermal throttling on those, you get similar performance as on the MediaTek one. It's also thermal throttling. So you can do some light gaming on this one. I've seen plenty of people to show some gaming at sort of lower graphic levels, but honestly, with this sort of screen dimensions, it's a very tall screen. You get look at a lot of games, you get black bars on either side, and so you're not really utilizing the real estate as well as you could. Not ideal for gaming. So if you're a gaming person, I probably would direct you towards some more traditional slab style phones with better thermal management. Obviously, this phone here again is a niche product. It's going to be for more people that are just doing like normal everyday tasks, surfing the web, watching some videos, checking your email, sending your messages, stuff like that. Basic productivity stuff. This phone is going to handle that no problem. Now the 2025 version does have a slightly faster MediaTek processor compared to the 2024. I think the 2024 is a 7300X. So I think the only difference is that this one is slightly clocked a little bit more, and they say it's for the new AI features in here, the Moto AI features on the 2025 model, which the 2024 model doesn't have. But I think it's all Gemini based, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't think it's going to be that much of a difference. So again, if you have a 2024, I don't think there's going to be that much of a reason to upgrade unless you want the newer colors, because the screens are the same and the processor is pretty much the same. The only major difference is that on the 2025 you get a bigger battery. It's 4,500 milliamp hours on this one here versus 4,200 milliamp hours on the 2024. Slight, maybe moderate improvement in terms of power on screen time. And also the same thing in terms of the cameras. The camera modules are also the same as what's on the 2024. You have a 50 megapixel wide main sensor, and then you have a 13 megapixel ultra wide sensor on the 2025. I believe those are the same on the 2024. However, I have noticed in some of the reviews that the image quality is a little bit better on the 2025. I think they may have tweaked the camera software for the updated 2025 model, and I think the video stabilization is also a little bit better. So if photos are important to you, maybe upgrade, but maybe not really that much of a difference in my opinion. Now overall, the camera quality I think here is exactly what it's supposed to be. It's mid-range quality. It's not flagship quality, and it's not ultra budget quality. It's pretty decent. You get 4K 30 videos and pretty nice, 50 megapixel photos. I think they're binned down to 12 megapixels if I'm not mistaken. I will have another video a little bit later on the cameras itself, because you can install alternative camera programs like the Blackmagic camera, and also I have the Google camera as well, the Gcam, which can I think take better pictures in terms of similar to what you get on a Pixel. So the standard camera in here is, I think, okay. It's going to be fine for most people. You obviously have your photo modes, your video modes, you have your slow motion modes, pretty much the standard stuff on the out of the box Motorola camera. So, but you do have the opportunity to install these alternative cameras. I would say for photos, use the Gcam mod, and then the Blackmagic camera for videos. Now, I will have a video later covering those in a little more detail to see if it really makes that much of a difference. Obviously, you're not going to get the flagship quality, 4K video and etc. I heard that in terms of overall video quality, it's decent enough. I think it's probably fine for most people, unless you're a content creator and you really need the top end video from a smartphone. Yeah, so at the end of the day though, I think in terms of why I think this model is the one to get is mainly because of this external display. Yes, the cameras get in the way here. I do kind of wish that they would have made the full 4-inch displays like they do on the RAZR Plus and the Ultra, but of course, they're coming in at a lower price point in this one, so it's understandable. But the 3.6-inch display I think is perfectly fine for doing things that you want to do on the external display. Even things like Google Maps works totally fine. It's totally functional, and you can even do navigation on the external display. As you can see here, it looks pretty decent. And of course, YouTube works totally fine as well. So if you want to just watch some videos on the external display, as you can see here, it's smaller, but it works perfectly fine. They even include a bunch of sort of pre-installed mini games that you can play on the external display, and they work pretty well. I think that if you have kids or something, you want to throw the phone at them and have them keep them entertained, you can give them these small games and play them on the external display, and I think they look great. Kind of reminds me of something like the old style Nintendo handheld games, for example. So you can pick this up unlocked for about $6.99 from Amazon, and if you don't want any hassles with dealing with unlocking your phone, that's probably the way to go. Obviously, this phone will come with a lot of different carrier deals out there. And it's going to just really depend on the season and the carrier. The one that I picked this one up on was from Total Wireless. Basically, they were giving the phone away for free, which was an amazing deal. And all you do is pay for 3 months of their unlimited service, which was $55 a month. So it ended up being $165 all up, including taxes and fees. And there were some other things you had to transfer a number over, etc. Every deal has some different limitations, things you have to do to get the deal. But that one is actually expired now. Unfortunately, I think they still have it's not as good of a deal, but it's I think you have to pay $200 and get another 3 months of service, something like that. So it's quite a bit more, so more than double actually what I paid. And then I think T-Mobile had a deal on this one, which I think also expired, where you could, if you are already a T-Mobile customer and you wanted to upgrade your phone, you could do that. I think they would giving up to $1,000 in credits, and then they would do that through basically it would give you bill credits towards your service. So the carrier deals and stuff to get these phones for a lot cheaper are convoluted, kind of complicated, so be aware of that. And a lot of times the phones will be locked for a period of time. For example, this phone here that I have will be locked for 60 days, but of course I've got 3 months of service that I paid for, so it's after 60 days this will be unlocked, and then I can use it with any carrier, which I think was a fantastic deal. It's one of the reasons why, the main reason why I picked this one up. And again, amongst the 3 RAZRs, this one is the one to pick up between the 3 for 2025. I personally would not get the I would not personally get the RAZR Plus. That one has a telephoto camera instead of the ultra wide camera, which I think was a mistake. They still carry that over from last year. I don't know why they did that. So if you're considering getting a higher end ultra, or a higher end RAZR, I would get the ultra and not the plus, because the ultra does come with the ultra wide camera, which is the one you want. The telephoto camera is kind of not really worth it, because the sensor on the main camera is still 50 megapixels, which is a lot of pixels, and you can still do a digital 2x zoom, and it's going to look pretty much the same. So if you're going to upgrade, you might as well go to the ultra, but of course that one's going to be running closer to 1300, and the carry deals aren't going to be as good for those. So considering the cost and the fact that you don't get that much of a benefit for the ultra, unless you really want that bigger 4-inch external display and the Snapdragon processor, which I don't feel adds that much benefit, the entry-level RAZR, the one I have here, is the one to get, in my opinion. Anyway, I will have more content on this particular phone in the future. I will cover the cameras in a little more detail, especially with those alternative camera programs. I think that that's going to be really interesting to see what the results of those are going to be like. And if you have any questions about that, let me know, and I'll try and address those in that video. And also have a update later on, like maybe like a 3-month update and a 6-month update on how this phone's doing, how it's holding up. Because I think the main issue with these folding phones is the durability. But if you're a fairly careful person, you don't drop the phone often, this should hold up pretty nicely. It is, obviously, if you drop the phone, if the internal display breaks, they're very expensive to replace, and a lot of times it's just better to just buy another phone at that point, because it can cost more than just buying a brand new phone. That's one of the main reasons why most people that aren't very careful with their phones end up damaging this particular style of phone, the folding phones. They typically don't like these because of the durability issues. But again, if you are a fairly careful person, this phone should hold up no problem. All right, that's going to do it for this video. Questions, comments, let me know down in the comment section below, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.